Demystifying the Katyn Massacre under the knife of the Soviet Union, the end of the Polish elite in the deep river of history. There are always events that stir up waves like dark encounters. Let future generations stop and reflect on 1940. Deep in the Katyn forest in Poland, an unknown massacre took place quietly. Nearly 20,000 Polish elites were killed here. This is the Katyn Massacre that shocked the world. However, the truth of this tragedy seems to be shrouded in a thick fog. It didn't gradually surface until years later. The shadow of war and the secret agreement of 1939. The Second World War has just been ignited. The German cavalry set foot on the turbulent land. However, what was unexpected was that the Soviet army soon followed. Two powerful nations simultaneously attacked Poland. It turns out that long before the war broke out, the Soviet Union and Germany reached a secret agreement. The two countries decided to join forces to divide Poland. Poland, a once great European power. In a short period of time, it was divided between the two major powers. But this is just the beginning. A greater tragedy is about to unfold. The shadow of the Soviet butcher after the occupation of Poland. The leader of the Soviet Union, Stalin, decided to launch an unprecedented ethnic invasion of Poland. He saw the Poles as potential enemies of the Soviet Union. It must be eradicated completely. So a massacre of the Polish elite unfolded quietly. The Soviet army selected so-called Polish talents from among the Poles. Most of these people are officers, intellectual, government officials, and other social elites. They were arrested by the Soviet army for various reasons. Then they were sent to Katyn Forest and other places, where they were brutally tortured and massacred. According to a later investigation, about 22,000 people were killed in the Katyn Massacre. This included thousands of Polish officers. After these people were executed, the body was hastily buried to cover up the crime. The Soviets even planted trees in these places. The revelation and controversy of the three truths until 1943, when the German army discovered a large number of Polish bodies in the Katyn Forest in Poland. The Katyn Massacre gradually attracted people's attention. However, the Soviet Union began to deny the incident. They say the bodies were killed by the Germans. This statement aroused widespread controversy and skepticism at the time. As time goes by, more and more evidence is emerging. Prove that these bodies were indeed killed by Soviet troops. However, the Soviet government has always refused to admit this fact. Until 1990, the Soviet Union finally admitted the existence of the Katyn Massacre and apologized to Poland. However, this apology did not quell all the controversy. Many people felt that the Soviet explanation and apology for the Katyn Massacre were not sincere enough. They tried to shift the blame to past leaders, rather than admitting the crimes of an entire country. This attitude has left many Poles dissatisfied and angry. 4 deep motivations and historical reflections. Why did the Soviet Union carry out such a brutal massacre of Poland? What is the motivation behind this? First, the Soviet Union's hatred of Poland has deep historical roots. In the early days of the Soviet Union, the two countries have gone to war. As a result, a large number of Soviet Red Army troops were captured and killed by Poland. This incident aroused deep hatred and hostility towards Poland in the Soviet Union. Secondly, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin saw the Poles as potential enemies of the Soviet Union. It must be eradicated completely. He feared that these Poles would use their social status and influence to organize a struggle against the Soviet Union. So he ordered the massacre of the Polish elite to eliminate this potential threat. However, there is no doubt that this massacre is extremely cruel and wrong. He not only took the lives of tens of thousands of innocent people, it also brought great disaster and suffering to the people of Poland and the Soviet Union. More importantly, he violated the basic morality and conscience of human beings. It is a trampling and insult to human civilization. 5 controversies and reflections on the Katyn Massacre, although it has been decades. But the impact was profound. He made us reflect deeply on war, issues such as violence and humanity. But it also makes us realize that the truth of history is often hidden in layers of fog. It requires our hearts to explore and discover. The Soviet explanation and apology for the Katyn Massacre. We should adopt an objective and rational attitude. We cannot deny the sincerity of the apology just because the Soviet Union is an enemy in the past. And just because the Soviet Union was an old ally doesn't mean we should blindly believe that explanation. We should base ourselves on facts, supported by evidence, objective and fair evaluation and reflection on historical events. We should also recognize that violence and carnage should never be tolerated or accepted, no matter at any time, under any circumstances.